Hello and welcome to How to Solve Word Problems with the 4-Step Method, brought to you by Kendall College. Let's go ahead and take a look at how to implement some of the 4 steps that I talked about in my LibGuide. So, the first problem I have is a culinary dilemma. At the beginning of a buffet meal, a manager placed $2,400 worth of food on the buffet line. During the meal, another $1,800 of food was added to the line. At the end of the meal, the value of the remaining food was $500. What was the total product cost of the manager's buffet during this meal period? So remember, the first step is identify the given info. So, what you can do is pick one color, and we're going to underline all the important pieces of information. So they placed $2,400 worth of food, added another $1,800 of food, and then the value, and I'm going to circle this, of the remaining food was $500. Those are the given pieces of info. So, 2,400 food in buffet. That's our first piece of given. And we want to make sure to write these out so that we're organized. So there's 1,800 added. And then our final checkbox is the value of remaining food is 500. So as we go through, we're going to check off these boxes and make sure that we've got them at the end. So the next part is question. You need to identify the question and put it in your own words. What was the total product cost of the manager's buffet? So the question is product cost of buffet. Put it entirely in your own words, and notice that I'm using a different color here. So now we're going to go on to the strategy. And the strategy you come up with after you have the given info, you think of how to use all 3 boxes. So first, we're going to add food in buffet, and then plus food added. And then our final step would be to subtract remaining. So once you write down your strategy, problems become a lot easier. And as you can see, this huge problem is actually much easier than we think. So you do 2,400 plus 1,800 minus 500, and that's going to give you a total of $3,700. So that's how you do it, and then you check, did I use all the information? Yes, I used the 2,400, I used the 1,800, and the value of the remaining food's 500. All of the information has been used. Let's move to the next one. So, here is another one. We're going to go and try this. Carbondale Casting produces cast bronze valves on a 10-person assembly line. On a recent day, 160 valves were produced during an 8-hour shift. So, we can start underlining our key info here. John Goodall, the manager at Carbondale, changed the layout and was able to increase the production to 180 units per 8-hour shift. What is the percentage of productivity increase from the new layout? Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. So our first step, our given info, 160 valves per 8 hours. And then the second, after, and we'll underline this too, changing layout. Now we have 180 vowels per 8 hours. Now let's move on to the second part. So we're going to change our colors here to light blue, and we're going to identify the question. What is the percentage of productivity increase from the new layout? So, percent change from new layout. So now we've got the information and we've got the question. Now our strategy comes into play. So, the strategy. Sometimes this will take a while to think about, so don't try to get it as quick as I do. The third step takes the longest. So you come up with calculate. Whoops, not calculate, it's calculate. Rate. And percent change. Okay? So now we've got our strategy here. We're going to now carry out our plan. So, 160 over 8. That is 20 per hour. And 180 over 8, that is going to be 22.5 per hour. And then the percent change, you take the highest one minus the old one over the old one, and then you're going to turn that into a percentage. Okay, now if you don't know a formula when you get to this step, you just look it up, and when you compute this, you end up getting 12.5%. Okay, so this is how to compute percent change. Now let's move on to an additional example. So, manager pays $7 per bottle for a particular type of wine. What would the manager's product cost percentage if he sells the wine at a price that achieves $21 per bottle contribution margin? So the first thing we need to look at is how much it costs. So let's go ahead and underline this. It's $7 per bottle. Okay? And we have a $21 per bottle contribution margin target. Okay? So, if we make our boxes, it's $7 per bottle, and that's the cost. And then you have a $21 per bottle contribution margin. I'll just put CM for that. So those are two pieces of given information. And our question is, what is product cost percentage? So now after we go through that, we get our strategy. So then the first step is find selling price. Then find percentage. And if you would like, what you can do here for step 3 is write down the formulas that you would use if you don't know them already. So, let's go ahead and go through the calculation. So the product selling price. We know that there's a 21 per bottle contribution margin. So, what we need to look at is some amount we're charging minus 21 equals 7. That's a pretty easy question. We know that 28 minus 7, or 28 minus 21 is 7. So this is selling price. Now, we're going to look at the percentage. So it was sold for $28 and it costs 7. So the contribution margin will be 7 over 28 times 100, and that gives you 25%. Okay, and then we go back and we see, did we answer our questions? Yes, we used the $7 bottle cost. Yes, we used the 21 per bottle cost margin. We used all that information. And if we look back at our question, did we address our question? Yes, we found the product cost percentage. So, as lessons learned, you can't solve a problem unless you know the question. So many people start without understanding the question and not understanding the given information. If you do this, you're almost guaranteed to fail. Now, you can use this to help you devise a multi-step strategy. Those are the best ways to solve math problems. And then once you develop your own strategy, whether it's the one I use here or your own strategy, you can conquer any problem with this. And now, it's going to be your turn to conquer math problems with confidence and enthusiasm. I look forward to seeing your results.